Hey everyone, it's Michael. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a review here for All-Star Superman, written by Grant Morrison and drawn by Frank, I think his last name is Quietly. It's either Quitley or Quietly. I can't figure out how to say his last name. This is one of those DC Compact Collection books. Number one, I made a video recently about this that I started it when I bought it like a month ago. And I've been kind of reading piece by piece. You know, it's 12 issues long. And I have a lot to say about this book, but first and foremost, the DC Compact Collection line, I love them. I've bought like 6 of these freaking books so far. I am very excited to get into them because they're mostly just graphic novels like Batman Hush and stuff. This is the way to buy it. It's like $10, dude, so get it while you can, I guess. Just wanted to throw that out there. It's not like some kind of paid-off shill link. Now, the actual book itself. This is considered to be the Superman story that you should get into if you haven't tried really the heavily ongoing stories, or if you're brand new to comics and Superman at that. This is usually the thing people recommend, and I've heard about this for a long time. I've never seen the animated movie on it, which I want to watch sometime this weekend since it's a 3-day weekend, but we'll see. So, All-Star Superman, I don't think I would recommend this to somebody as their first Superman comic. I know that's controversial, but I think personally Grant Morrison's kind of, out there a little bit. There's no difference between this and all of his usual Golden Age and Silver Age love of comics. A lot of this is really birthed out of that. This is a little too all over the place that I think a newcomer would not be able to process what's going on most of the time. Not always. It has a lot of stuff that's pretty clear cut, but the issues are more episodic than I think people that are really heavy into Superman actually give it credit. I've never heard it mentioned that way, but it really is, to be honest with you. I enjoyed the book. I don't love it. I don't love it, really, to be honest. And that doesn't mean over time it can't grow on me. But I just didn't think this was that great. It's really, really good in the sense like it's above average for me. But I don't love it. The general concept I really loved, and I really think is wasted and squandered, for me personally. But it has a lot of emotional portions to it that I think really bring it to life for me. It's a beautiful, colorful read. If you really want something colorful that feels like Superman, this is that. If you love Silver Age and Golden Age comics, and you've only read that, and you don't read the modern day shit, this is great for you. I really think you'd love it if you're into that older stuff. Like Morrison is, because there's so many references in here to old stuff, that things that I don't even know that I can tell are clearly a reference, whether it be in the foreground or the background. It's all over this. The general story here is that Superman is dying of basically cancer, essentially. Something happened with a Lex Luthor plot thing I don't want to get into too much because it's not really gotten into much in the book. But Superman is essentially dying. He's on a ticking time clock. And I love what happens next. He immediately, the first thing he does is go to Lois Lane, who he's not in a relationship with. She doesn't know that he and Clark Kent are the same person. She's not in a relationship with Clark either. The first thing he does is go to her after he finds out from the test that he takes and finds out that he's dying. And he tells her, hey, I'm Superman. And by issue 2, he's taking her out to the fortitude or I can't even talk. The Fortress of Solitude, and showing her his secrets and stuff. And yet she doesn't believe him, and it's like she's so shocked by the info that she can't convince herself that it's real. She even starts getting to the point that she thinks Superman may be evil and kidnapped her and stuff, even though she willfully wanted to go there. It's really funny and cute. A lot of this book has a lot of that, but not in a chibi way. I don't want you to think it's, on the goofier side. It is a little goofy, because it's a little out there. It's a little sci-fi sometimes. There's everything from time travel to space travel in here. There's a lot of wacky sci-fi stuff, again, that feels very Silver Age and Golden Age. And I like those elements, but I have to take them in doses. So I broke this book up a lot. as I read it over the month, and then I would have days I didn't have time. You get sleepy, you're married, you have a lot of things to do. So I took my sweet time as I read this book to really take it in. And there's a lot that I don't like about it. I love that concept of Superman dying. There is not enough done in here with that. It's a 12-issue story collected here, and a lot of it is so, I don't want to say messy, but I feel like the stories in here don't connect enough for me personally. I feel like there's a lot of filler for me. I feel like this would be amazing as like a 6-issue run, maybe 10. You could probably throw out 2 or 3 issues in here. One storyline involving like Jimmy Olsen that I just cannot believe they went the direction they went. It seems reckless from his perspective. It seems reckless from Superman's perspective. I think like the 3rd issue in here has a whole story with Lois and Clark that I loved. It was so majestic and sweet. Apparently, by the way, there's a Bible character, Samson, from back in the day, who is in here as like a superhero who time travels. I've never heard of Samson being in the DC universe ever. Really threw me off. I'm a Christian. I believe the Bible. I believe in Samson, obviously existing, but it threw me off figuring out because he's like, by Yahweh. And I was like, what in the world are we doing? It's such a strange thing, man. But then there's like this one, I love Bizarro, right? There's a storyline in here, I think it's like 2 issues long, maybe 3, involving Bizarro and like, I think it's like a home world involving Bizarro. There's one element of that, one character involved with that I really like, who gets into communication with Superman. But the Bizarro world and the way the Bizarro characters talk in here, that it's the opposite of what they actually mean, as if it's literally the joke that you see in every sitcom and cartoon from the 90s and 2000s of Opposite Day, especially that episode of Billy and Mandy. That's how the Bizarro people talk, and it literally broke my brain. I got to the point that I just stopped reading what they were saying, and just read what Superman and this other character, Zabaro, were reading. Because I couldn't understand what the rest of the Bizarro characters were saying, because it was so outlandish and stupid. I hate that. I don't know how common that is in, like, other Superman comics, because again, if you guys know me, I'm kind of newer to Superman stuff with comics. Because I just don't know really what to get into, so I'm doing the graphic novel thing, and maybe I'm trying out some more ongoings, because I started, I think it was Action Comics Rebirth, I think is where I started at a while back. Haven't read any more since last year, but still, yeah, the Bizarro stuff was awful, so I almost recommend just skipping over that entirely. There's this one storyline going back, it's kind of time travel-y, but kind of not, but kind of is, of Superman, his origin story. It retells that, but basically more of the portion of he and Ma and Pa Kent, when he was like a kid, teenager or whatever, before he became Superman. That is a gut-wrenching episode. Story. Short story, whatever. That was such a good issue. It really had me sad. Even there's one issue towards the end of the book. I don't want to tell you too much about the book, but there's one issue involving Superman giving his will and testament, his last will and testament. And it is so emotionally upsetting how well done that was. I loved it. And Frank Quitely's art really brings that to life for me. I don't know, dude, he did amazing with the art here. Grant Morrison, I think with the dialogue and the character stuff, he really gets that down. I like how Clark Kent is a little bit more obnoxious and kind of dumbed down than you would expect. But I really liked all that stuff. I think Morrison did a good job with it. I think it's one of his better projects I've read from him, even though I think like his Batman work is good, except for R.I.P. But I gotta complain about something. Of course, this apparently is like a prelude to something called like, I think it's like DC 1 million or something like that. Or it's like I guess in the future or something. I don't know. Because it's kind of brought up in here, but apparently this ties eventually into that, or that ties into this. I want to read those at some point. It's like, I don't know how many issues of each of those characters you have, but it's all of them in like the year 1 million. I guess. I could be wrong, but I guess. So there's an ending to this book that I absolutely hate. I think it is awful. I think it's so fucking lame in every possible way. It feels like a cop-out to me. I don't care how creative it's trying to be or how it was maybe an editorial, they convinced Grant Morrison that he'd have to do whatever to get to that 1 million storyline. I don't know. You can still read this book as it is by itself. You don't have to worry about the DC 1 million storylines or whatever. But I still think the ending of this book is trash. I'm sorry. I fucking hate it. I think the last few pages of the book are so stupid that it ruins the book. Because I was going through this book, even though I was kind of on again, off again with it, especially in the Bizarro issues, I was thinking, you know, even though I'm a little off with those, even though the book sometimes goes a little goofier, but I like a lot of stuff in here, like the Lex Luthor involvement, those parts of the story. I love the whole Superman concept of him dying and whatnot. The Lois Lane storylines, I really love at the beginning of it. It has a lot of heart, and has a lot of really good humor in it. I was thinking, you know, even though I'm like in a slump in the halfway part of this book with the Bizarro stuff, at least if the ending is great, maybe in hindsight when I reread this book, maybe it'll make all of this stuff better and more worthy of getting through again in the future. Hell no. After how bad the ending was, absolutely not. No, not for me. Not for me, buddy. I hated the ending of this book. I thought it was so lame. It's not, for me, personally, I think it's a cop-out ending that's not really an ending, to be honest with you. I don't know. That's just my biggest complaint about it. All-Star Superman was mostly good. It was mostly good, but above average for me, as I said at the beginning of the video. I don't think this deserves the love and praise that it gets. I wish we had more Superman graphic novels out there that were praised more. I heard Earth 1's amazing, and I actually have Birthright on the way at Barnes & Noble, so, you know, we'll see how that goes. God willing, if I get around to them. But this book, it's going to be a long time till I ever try to reread this. And the sad thing is, dude, again, it's 12 issues long. It should have been 6, like I said. Maybe 10 maximum. Maybe even 8 if I cut out all the parts that I don't care about. There's so much cleverness in here involving like the Lois seeing the Fortress of Solitude stuff. Specifically with Superman and his house key. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you don't. The house key thing is a great example of how incredibly clever this book is. I don't know if it's from the old comics or not. I suspect it is. But I don't know. And this was a massive influence on the James Gunn movie, by the way. I personally feel like he just read this book and nothing else, because there's so much in here that ended up in his James Gunn movie. But that was interesting, like the Superman robots. I've never seen them before, ever in my life. I don't know if they were in other comics in the past or what, but I've never seen those in anything. Not movies, not shows, nothing. So, yeah, if you're a big fan of the James Gunn movie, you'll love this book, I think, for the most part. They have a lot of the same personality as a storyline, the way it's told. It'll be for you. And vice versa. If you love this book and you haven't seen the James Gunn film, you should watch that, because it's got a lot of that Golden Age, Silver Age feel to it, as much as I thought it was too much when I reviewed it, in its veins, from this story. There's a lot of the story in there, except for like the villains and the concept of Superman dying and whatnot. But the sentiment is the same. I think a lot of people would appreciate that. Anyway, All-Star Superman, not a big fan of. That's just me. It's very well done for what it is. It's just a mess towards the end for me. And some of the issues didn't belong. I don't care how it's supposed to be kind of loosey-goosey, and each issue kind of stands alone. But I don't like it that much for that. I just don't think this is as good as people make it out to be, personally. So anyway, what do you think about it? Do you love All-Star Superman? Do you hate it? Let me know everything you think about this down below. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.